Welcome back to another RBNY UK podcast in partnership with Big Apple Sports Network, bringing you all the latest news and views from the tri-state area. And wow, it was make or break week. We did label it as make or break week. And after a very, very good win last night against Columbus Crew, we've secured 3 points for the first time in 60 days. And I can't be better than saying, hello, Luke. How are you doing?
Good. I'm tired. I'm very tired. Is it exaggerated to say we went on night out last night? Probably a bit. Me and Ronnie met up in London last night, and I don't know what you had. What do you have? A lager? Disgusting.
Yeah, one drink beverage, but now I've had a one drinker. I've got to have one before every single Red Bulls game for the rest of the season.
That's the thing.
That's just how it's going to be.
Lucky charm.
Is it a new tradition? I'm never going to complain about drinking alcoholic beverage, and I'd say everyone who's listening to this pod, raise a drink as long as you're over the age of consent in the area that you are.
Yeah, 18 UK, 21 USA.
Yeah, so we're all right over here. We can have it a bit younger, but over there you have to wait. But no. So before we get into the Crew game, we will be making an announcement later on in the episode regarding some new content coming up, which is really exciting. But before we talk about the Crew, Luke's face is grinning out of it both ears if you can't see him if you're not watching on YouTube, because he loves when I say the next words. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the RBNY UK podcast.
Stunning. So, it was make or break week, or I was thinking it was make or break homestand. 4 games, 4 big games, playing Crew, NYCFC, DC United, and the Fire. And first game's down, 3 points have been acquired. It's a brilliant start to the homestand, and going into the game, we see the team come out, and it was more of an interesting selection. So I'm just going to run through the starting 11 for the Red Bulls for last night's game. So obviously we started with Carlos Coronel in goal, and we went to a back 5 with Cole Duncan obviously at right wing back, on Gutman again at left wing back, which I wasn't too surprised about. But actually we had 3 centre halves playing at centre half, obviously because of Tom Edwards' suspension due to yellow cards. But we had Reyes back in the starting 11. We had Sean Nealis back in the starting 11. And obviously Amro Tarek kept his place. Then obviously Sean Davis yet again has played every minute this season, is hopefully going to continue. But then Tolkien took up the midfield role again, which was talked about quite a bit in the build-up. And I was in at Mark Fishkin seeing Red space before the game on Twitter, and he was talking about it, how people are actually talking about it now within the US men's national team setup and how we potentially progress into the midfield role. Then also midfield was Wilcom and Carmona. Then obviously up top was Patrick Klimala and Fabio. Obviously, when you see that starting lineup, Luke, what did you think about obviously the 3 centre halves at centre half, and especially John Tolkien taking up the midfield option again?
I mean, I'll be honest, I was fast asleep by the time that team came out. I'll be honest, I was fast asleep in my hotel room. Shout out to Holiday Inn at Stratford. I know I know they're probably not listening, but if you are, good people. I know I was stressed from working in London, and that's how I went in bed. When I woke up this morning, I woke up originally about 4 a.m. It was a lot longer for 5 minutes, so my chat was booming. So I thought, we're going to do that. We won a game. That was the team, and I was glad to see Egbo back on the bench. So I've always said this season, what was that guy got to do to get a chance to get on its team? Like we're not doing that well, but he's not getting involved. That was really interesting to see. I'm glad for that. Excuse my yawn. Too tired. But I think John Tolkien midfield is obviously a very heated discussion, and I don't think long term he's pushing his body there, but he can do a job there. I mean, it's that kind of situation. It's like when England had Gerrard, Lampard, and Scholes. You had to play Scholes on the left wing. Because to me, good centre mids. It's the one sort of player. You got Andrew Gutman, who's a fantastic left back. You also got John Tolkien, who is obviously is a major talent for the future. So you want, if you've got to get both of them in somehow, you got to put someone somewhere else. John Tolkien, with his runs, his ability, he's the best choice to go in the midfielder. I think it's quite a brave decision for Suba. Especially for a manager under pressure. Let's not kid about it. He's under pressure now. To make that sort of bold decision when you're under pressure, you had to hand it to him.
No, I 100% agree. And I think obviously we went 60 days without a win. And I think obviously it's going to play a toll on any manager and player that they get to a point where confidence is low. But I was like, when we said a couple of weeks ago, Gary, I think it's put important to stress that this year is not necessarily the year that everyone should be focusing on. Obviously, everyone being a fan of the Metro Stars and now the Red Bulls know that we want playoff football, and that's fair enough. But it's not the end of the world if we don't do as successful as in previous years, because it is a building process. There's a lot of young players. But there was a question we was talking about, obviously, our Red Bull review that's going to come out on YouTube the day prior to this podcast. But Soccer Over Gotham, a very great podcast and very good friends of us, asked a question. I think it's a really good one to talk about. They said, is it possible Tolkien's ceiling is actually higher than Caden Clark's now? And it got me thinking about this, because obviously at the beginning of the season, everyone's talking about Caden Clark, and fair enough, brilliant talent and can go a long way in the game. But is John Tolkien really stepping up this season? And for me, I really feel that he's shown what he can take. And also, his game is so suited to European football, John Tolkien. And he's only just turned 19. So he's still very young. He's still learning the game. And I don't know how you feel about John Tolkien, Luke, but do you think that he's got a big future in the game, potentially at Red Bull Arena or potentially somewhere across the pond?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious now John Tolkien has got a massive future in the game. You don't come in for MLS debut at 17, 18, whatever he is, and have a great game and start most games since then. If you're not a special talent, you saw that in Caden Clark, you saw it in Tyler Adams, we saw it in Mark Mayagza when he was back here. So many players we've seen it in, who obviously got huge talent, and he got a good bright future. I'm not too sure it will be in MLS. I think he'll probably end up going to one of the other Red Bull clubs in a few years. I don't think he's a Caden though. I don't think he's a Caden player who will be gone this time January. I think he'll be here for a couple of seasons yet. But yeah, he got a huge future in the game. That's pretty obvious, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And just going back to the Crew game, I'm going to just go through the substitutions that we made during the game. So first substitution was at half time, and we took off Reyes, which is understandable, just coming back off injury. And obviously you want people sharp. And obviously brought on Frankie Amaya, which is a player that we was obviously raving about at the beginning of the season, but it's not really sorted him out so far. But then in the 61st minute, we've done a single sub, which was Klimala for Barlow. So Barlow's getting serious game time every game now. He's getting about half hour a game, which is substantial. A lot of people do ask the question, but I think looking at last night, especially, I think Klimala you could see he was very frustrated just before he was taken off. He did a rash tackle in the corner, but he's gone through the back of the player, and I could see why he wanted to be taken off, just to stop him getting sent off, and obviously missed the Hudson River Derby this weekend. But then on the 71st minute, it was a double substitution where we took off Carmona and Fabio, and we brought on Caden Clark and Danny Royer. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a massive Danny Royer fan, so I always love seeing him on the pitch, and he's like captain material. As soon as he's on the pitch, he goes to pick the players up, pick the crowd up. He's a great player to have. And then obviously our last sub was a forced one, sadly, and Amro Tarrant went down for muscular injury. We're waiting on news of that to see if he'll be out the Hudson River Derby or not. But then obviously Luke's fanboy moment comes when Manny Egbo come on the pitch, which is always nice to see him feature. And obviously he's been with the twos most of the season. Not had the best season with the twos, that's guaranteed, but nice to see him on the pitch. And I can't remember the last time, Luke, that we used 4 actual centre halves during a game.
No, it's been a long time, and I think like what we said about not having a great season with Tuesday is a fair point. But I want anyone to argue me. Has anyone? Can you really say many people in that team had a good season? That team is dumpster fire stuff. Like there's not many players who come out of that shining lines this year.
No, 100% agree with you. And I think obviously the campaigns that we won the USL, especially when Aaron Long was down there, and that was a stepping stone they needed. And when you're playing well, you obviously get the chance. Like, all right, but people say with Barlow, he was obviously scored 1 goal this season in the MLS, but he was banging them in at that level. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Fair enough. But just going on to key performances and key moments, and obviously the main moment of the game for us was the John Tolkien goal coming off a Fabio assist. And people say, like, for a left back, he had brilliant footwork in the box there. And then it was a clinical striker's finish, putting it between the keeper's legs. It was a fabulous finish. And if a Fabio, a Klimala, or one of the top strikers in the leagues does that, people say that is clinical. That is such a good finish. But for a left back to be doing this, it shows you the talent he's got. His footwork with the ball is amazing. And the keeper was not expecting that. He's probably seen Tolkien and gone, he's only a fullback. He's not going to do much, but, well, proved it wrong there. It was a fantastic finish, Luke. And do you think it's like what you would see out of a clinical number 9 or even a tricky winger? I've seen some tricky wingers dart through the box, cut it back, and then fire it low and hard under the keeper's legs.
I think so. It was a great goal. It's a bit of 1-2. Analysis of Fabio, we talked about it last time how he's not really delivered much now. I mean, like since he's had 4 in the first 5 game weeks, and he's kind of gone a bit quiet. Now with assist, hopefully that kicks him up again. We'll see how it goes. But it's a great goal for John Tolkien. Great for him to get his first MLS career goal.
Yeah.
What is there a better way to do it than Red Bull Arena?
And a winner. And a winner as well.
A New Jersey native.
Yeah, well, it's what we'd love to see.
Local ground. And it's what dreams are made of, really, isn't it? Scoring at your local team. You're born in New Jersey. You play for the New York Red Bulls. The team you've been here all your life. And you score a winner. Yeah, you can't ask much more, really, can you?
It's beautiful. And I think there was a lovely picture that I see last night that we did tweet out, and it was when Tolkien scores, a look on his face, but you just see Gutman in the background going crazy. And I think every single Red Bulls fan was exactly the same when he scored that goal. A, the relief of scoring, but B, we all love John Tolkien. And talking of Tolkien, I think there was 2 key performers of that game. Obviously, Tolkien with the goal and overall, but Carlos Coronel was outstanding last night. He pulled off 4 or 5 class saves that kept Red Bulls in the game without a shadow of a doubt, because there was a certain number 99 that everyone loves in this territory. Had a lovely effort which was stopped by Coronel down to his left. A couple of one-on-ones Sardes went through, obviously pulled up injured, and obviously could now miss the key World Cup qualifiers for the US men's national team. But Coronel last night put some doubters to bed, and after a few games I've seen people saying, is Coronel the answer? I've always said I really like Coronel, but last night, what a performance.
I think the thing with Carlos Coronel is we've been so lucky with goalkeepers recently. We had Luis Robles, the MLS Iron Man. Like, for me, many years in his time in MLS at Red Bulls, he was the best MLS goalkeeper. Yeah. Like, it was so good. Carlos Coronel is not a Luis Robles. He never will be a Luis Robles. But he's a very decent MLS goalkeeper. And I think at times he's been unfairly criticised for some of the goals. Yes, there's been some goals where he should do better, but he'll know that. He's only a young player. He will gain experience in that. But it's not been easy, has it? Having a makeshift defence, having Tom Edwards play at centre back. He pretty not played with the same starting back four for God knows how long. So I think give it time. I think he will be in next year. Just exciting.
No, 100% agree with you there. And Coronel is one of them performers this season that obviously any good goalkeeper normally says there's a good back four in front of them. And there's some not so good goalkeepers who have a brilliant back four in front of them and makes them look so much better. But obviously this year with the amount of injuries hasn't done him any favours at all. And he has been a very good performer. I've got to say it was a very good acquisition, good signing, and looking forward to seeing what he can do. But I think just looking at like now, I think especially you touched on it, Fabio is obviously our leading assist maker for this season with 6, which is not a terrible, it's a very good return for a striker. But then you look at our top goal scorers and there's 3 on 4 goals. And I think it really sums up how the season's gone so far. Even looking at last night, Fabio and Klimala, they had a few half chances, but nothing substantial. We've got Klimala who's on 4, which has had a couple of penalties. Caceres is on 4 and Clark's on 4. It's a key problem within the team at the moment because you look at the Revs, you look at LAFC, you look at LA Galaxy, you look at whoever team is, they're always going to have a clinical striker. And that is a fundamental aspect of a team that's going to challenge for the MLS Cup and Supporters Shield. And obviously, I like Fabio. I think he's a very good player. He's a good player. And I think also Klimala is a player that's growing into the league. And he gets very frustrated easy, which is it's a good sign to see. But then also you can tell they're annoyed because they're not getting that ball in the back of the net. And there was a couple of chances yesterday for Klimala where they've just gone a bit wide or he snapped at it a bit. I don't know how you... Like, it's also one of them whereas obviously Danny Roy's just come back to fitness where he's on 49 overall goals for the Red Bulls, which is brilliant how he's done for us. And obviously him coming back into the fold is going to be quite big for the rest of the season because he's going to bring them goals off the bench where Barlow hasn't so far. Obviously, looking at overall positions, I think we need to start getting goals from the front two. I don't think anyone could disagree with us when we say that. And I think both Fabio and Klimala are very good players. And I think it's just getting that perfectly understanding because Fabio's got 6 assists and he links up very well. But it's just we need to get one of them firing soon. And it's going to happen at some point. We're going to start getting goals from them. And it's going to be a fundamental aspect for the rest of the season. And I think that's probably the key aspect that we're maybe missing in comparison to the rest of the teams. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah, I think we go about clinical striker. Red Bulls have not had a clinical striker since Roger Wright Phillips left. They tried Brian White. He did okay, but it wasn't a clinical striker. They tried Tom Barlow. He's got basically no. I don't want to be too harsh because I like Tom Barlow as a person, but he's just not good enough for MLS. And that's the sad reality. He's more of a USL player. He'll be gone in the winter, I would imagine. We tried Patrick Kamala, who will get some goals, but I'm still not convinced he will be the 15, 20 goal a season man. I think he's more of a 10 goals, 5 or 6 man, which is a good ratio. Fabio. I think Fabio came here with a lot of expectations on him. I think it's safe to say he's not really lived up to them so far. So I don't think Fabio will be back next year. But yeah, it's a tricky one. We do need a new striker.
100%. And I think now we're going to go to a break. And once we're back from this break, we'll be joined by Smurf himself, who loves baseball. We are talking about NYCFC and UK fan. Let's go to that advert. Welcome back to the second part of this episode, and I'm very, very happy to introduce someone who's gladly shown up a sky blue jersey with his name in the background. Please welcome Barney. How are you doing, Barney?
Evening, gents. Very well, thank you. You both well?
Yeah, not doing well. We finally won a game, so it's complete opposite to you. Obviously, you've lost it. Weird when 60 games without 60 games even. I'm getting over my top here. 60 matches. There you go. I've had a nightmare already. Pressure's on. I'm trying to think of MLB jokes for about 5 minutes down the line, but no, it's always great. Now we've got a win under our belts going into the big Hudson River Derby, and I was quite depressed about 25 minutes ago because I decided to look up the last Hudson River Derby, and it obviously come in November when you beat us 5-2 at the baseball stadium located in New York. But yes, a baseball stadium. But a lot has changed with NYCFC since the last time we played each other. And
yeah, things have definitely got better this year. Definitely.
It's very annoying because I'm looking at the Eastern Conference as we talk, and obviously you're sitting in third spot. We're sitting in 10th, and how I'd love the roles to be reversed, but you're currently sitting on 31 points and we're on 22, so lovely 9 points different. And we've got a minus goal difference, which is not the best in the world, and you're on 15. So you've had a very good season so far. I don't know how you found your season so far leading up to this game.
It's one that is seemingly splitting fans still. I'm happy. I feel pretty happy. It's progress from last season. Excuse me. I think last season was a bit of a shocker. But then again, I think any club always expects some period of bedding in when you have a new coach. And I don't think any team in MLS could be, criticised for how they had to cope with 2020 with all of the MLS's back tournament and whatnot. So I think this was really going to be the first year that Ronnie was judged, and I feel like it's going pretty well. Some of the football has looked progressively better throughout the season. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I'm really annoyed about is that I do share a name with the manager of the other team. So when I keep hearing the name Ronnie and New York, and I keep thinking for some reason someone's talking about me somewhere, and then I realise no, they're talking about Ronnie Dyler, who I've got to admit is doing a very good job in it. I was looking at the actual transfers going into the season, and obviously Ring left, who I'm quite a big fan of him, who's a very good player for you, and obviously McKay Stevens. Both of them scored in the last time we faced each other. But then I was looking through the players you'd got in, and I realised there was a certain ex-Arsenal player, Gideon Zalayem, who, to be honest, I completely forgot even existed. But how do you think you've dealt with some of your big guys going, and how the new players brought in? Have they actually stepped up to the mark, or have they fallen a bit to the wayside?
Yeah, the transfers this year I felt have been much better than last year. Thiago Andrade, spelled Andrade for the wrestling fans to me, has been fantastic. Like I said, there's a lot of pace that's come with these players, a lot of South American flair. Other players that I thought were kind of on the verge of leaving, like Castellanos. I think a lot of people were expecting him to go. Palmeiras fans were plaguing my Twitter account worse than you lot. Every single tweet I was getting emojis of pigs. Apparently they're called the pigs or something. I couldn't tweet anything without being I don't know what to call it, victimized.
But, how we feel when we get loads of Saudi Arabians applying to everything for catchy now. So
yeah,
we get loads of Saudis that applying to our tweets. So.
It's been a bit good transfers. They've done well. I was sad to see Mackay Stevens go, but only from the British perspective. I felt as a player in MLS, he never really gelled with the team. He seemed somewhat of an outcast based on his social media. So I wasn't shocked to see him go, and I don't think he'll be anything other than probably happy to have got out of MLS. The pace of MLS was too fast for him, and any games in any heat, you could just see the Scottishness in him just melting.
No, No, it was a player. Obviously, we've got to agree. I do love a British player coming across, and it was evident he was getting to the end part of his career where he was a bit like, should I stay or should I go? And I think obviously we've gone down the South American route as well, and why not? Because there's hungry South American players coming up, and they do bring desire and fight. And I was just looking back on previous to your Philadelphia defeat. Also, you was on a 7-game undefeated streak, which is like, I was thinking it's quite the opposite. We was going into our game last night, couldn't buy a win even if we wanted to, and we get a win. You was on a great streak and obviously get a loss. So it's put another dynamic on the fixture Saturday. And obviously derby games, everyone knows, don't matter if wherever country in the world you're from, when you're playing your local rivals, there's always that extra bit of steam and bit of sting in it. I don't know, have you got any injury problems going into the game? Because we're actually getting healthy for once, so to speak. I don't know how the NYCFC are gonna face it. Are they doing right for injuries, or you actually got hopefully a few players missing? But let's see.
The only main injury that we've had long term is Heber, who you may remember him from that little backheel flick that megged your keeper at Yankee Stadium 2 years ago. But yeah, no, sadly he's been out for a couple of years. For a good year nearly. So realistically, other than him, most of the squad is fit to my knowledge. Sadly, we've got a good choice of players for Ronnie to choose from.
Yeah, and I think we're in the same boat. Obviously, for the same as you, we've had one major long-term injury, which is Aaron Long. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very interesting affair. And I was just thinking, like, when was the last time we played at Red Bull? I had to find one stat that obviously was in our favour. So the last time at Red Bull Arena, we actually won 1-0, and it was Cole Duncan who scored. So that's our stat, Luke. We've got a stat for us winning a game, which is very good. Obviously, there's another game we can talk about in the long run, which everyone knows, and I've had quite a few people on Twitter saying we have to mention. But going into last night's game, did you rest any players against Philadelphia, or was it pretty much a full-strength team going down?
No, pretty much a full-strength team. I think with a team like Philly, you can't go there with anything other than your full strength. Otherwise, they're gonna pick you apart. Sadly, I couldn't stay up for the game last night, but I've watched a good chunk of the highlights back, and from everything I've seen, the game was very much in our favour. How we've come away with a 1-0 loss, we should have been 2-0 up at half time. So we went there with a full strength team and somehow have come away with a loss. But I think it's one of those performances that, you know, you look at the loss and go, it's not the worst team to have lost to, but you'll feel disappointed. But then somehow you got to go, right, well, that performance was great, so we just need that same ethic and the chance creation in your backyard on the weekend.
Yeah, and I was looking.
We call it our backyard when.
Well,
it's your backyard. Yeah, we're neighbours. We're friendly neighbours. I don't know what this rivalry stuff's about.
Play more games in New Jersey than in New York, but
we are your landlord as well now. So, well, it's good. I've got a feeling it could become a dual home like the San Siro soon, like how it's all going. Yeah. But hopefully you can go for 500 miles. But
the problem is, like, if they do that. Like, New York City's whole thing has been to have a real New York side because they're playing the city. You can't really be blagging about all the time and then go, actually, we're playing New Jersey now. It doesn't fit with narrative very well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we did move in with you guys for a couple of years, but I don't think the fans will hang around for long if it happens. No. I think you only have to look at the attendance numbers. When we played those couple of games in the CCL 2019, or was it 2020? No, 2020. That was 2019. Sorry, no. Well, whenever it was, anyway. Our attendances weren't too bad, and then whereas this season they're kind of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. It's, you know, really low numbers. So you can see the fans are already just refusing to go there. I think genuinely a lot of our fans are New York City based, and, you know, it's not like you're just, say, New York City side of Jersey, you are a good another half an hour plus
It's not
into
that hard to
Jersey.
get to, though. I don't buy this argument. It's not that hard to get to.
Yeah, imagine you're from the Bronx. Imagine you're from the Bronx. You've got to get probably through Manhattan, or probably go up and over. It's not straightforward little subway journey.
I think being realistic, though, people got to be realistic, but they're not building a city. They're not building a stadium in the city. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, I think there is a very, very high chance now that we're so close to striking this deal to build next to Yankee Stadium. There's
I've read they want to build forward with Hudson and that instead, though.
No, that project's long gone.
I'm going to say something very controversial here. I'm not saying because you're on here. I think the Hudson should be prioritised over a football stadium. I'm not saying you got City.
Well, yeah, Luke, but hold on, you got to remember they are still technically homeless, so it will be their home going there. Like you've got to help out the poor at some point and give them a space to go to home. So no, but obviously, I've been Yankee Stadium for actual baseball, but I noticed all the land around it, and it would be it'd be great for you to finally get a home. Obviously, people call Yankee Stadium home, but obviously, if they're going to play a game of baseball on it, you've got to find somewhere else to play. So it would be good for the league and good for you to get a good home where fans can actually say, that's where we play. And interesting that there is the space next to Yankee Stadium. I don't know how you should obviously say the deal's close. So hopefully we can get Red Bull Arena back as just Red Bull Arena. But obviously you might need to have like a couple of holiday outings. We might put it up on a certain broad work, so you can pay us a couple of extra quid here and there just to line the pockets of all our drinks. But yeah, moving on to the big game Saturday. I'm never confident when it comes to Red Bulls, whereas Luke is the most confident person in the world. He thinks that we're going to somehow win the World Cup, knowing him. He's very, very optimistic. I'm the opposite. So we kind of level each other out. So it's good to have someone from the opposition on. What is the mood in the camp, do you think, going this weekend? Are you thinking, right, we're going to go there, we can pick up a result?
I think the fact that our last game there against Inter Miami last weekend, that was a good result. I think the fact that we have been playing there, there'll be that little bit more, all jokes aside, that home from home feeling. The players are used to travelling to there. It isn't a long journey. I wouldn't be shocked if there's as many New York City fans there for the derby as there has been for New York City home games. I think spirits will be good. It's our away form is pretty shocking this season. It's our home form that's held us together. I think most fans will always want a win, but I think they'll take a draw. They'll take anything other than a loss, really. So I think confident would just be the sum up.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on it brilliantly. It's a very interesting dynamic because a lot of teams, when they do come to Red Bull Arena, the aspect of coming to Red Bull Arena, you've already sometimes lost the game. Get in there, the fans are noisy, but when you actually used to playing there without the noise, it's actually going to be quite an interesting game. And I think, obviously, for us, we're very happy it's on Sky Sports, which is brilliant news. But yet again, it's another 1 a.m. kickoff. And I can't remember the last time I've watched a game this year where it's actually been the same day in America when it's kicked off. So that's always fun. But I think just one thing to touch on was just interesting that Red Bulls have just tweeted is that they've gone with a new masking system within the ground, and you have to wear your face masks in the arena whilst watching the game. Obviously, it was coming into play in New York, so whatever New York does, New Jersey does is quite similar. So obviously, lucky enough for us at the moment within the UK, especially when you go down to Portsmouth, when I go Arsenal and he goes Ipswich, so we're covering the south quite well, but we don't have to wear the mask. So it'd be an interesting aspect, seeing that I don't know if everyone will wear masks. I hope everyone stays safe. But that is somewhere along the line. There's an NYCFC fan in office gone into New Jersey and said, let's try and quiet the South Ward for the derby. I know 100% that is not all health and safety. There's mind games there, and that's 100% yeah. But just touching on that game, I think getting 3 points last night for us, we were just talking about our Crew game, which is great to take into it. But we've got a make or break situation at the moment where we are quite a few points off the playoffs and we've got 4 home games. Obviously, you're the second one in it. And I think, like you said, I think if you ask any Red Bull fan, obviously everyone loves a win. But I think Luke's going to agree with me here, but I think we'll take a point as well.
That's a good point. I
So,
definitely
yeah.
take a point.
Right, so that is right. So that's a draw then. Right, we're all happy with a draw. So anyone who does better in the betting world, put a draw on because everyone in the UK is going to say it's a draw. But no, I think looking for us as well that we're struggling for goals. And I was looking at the same for you. Obviously, your top goal scorer's got 7 goals. Our top goal scorer got 4. So quite similar. Then assists, your top assist is 7, whilst it's 6. So neither team have got that clinical goal player that's well out with 10 plus goals. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting game. And I think how our games have gone this season is if we can score, we normally concede. So well, now I've said this and I'm going to say it's not going to be 0-0. It's going to be 0-0. But how do you think, you're confident of you're going to score? I think you're going to score against us and I think we're going to score against you. But it's going to be 0-0. But looking into your, even though it's a road record because you're technically on the roads, you've won 2, you've lost 4, tied 3. Our home record is obviously what's helping us at the moment with 1-5, drawn 2, lost 2. I don't want to say it. I'm not going to say I'm confident, but we've got a certain player that everyone knows in the league. His name's Tom Barlow, and Luke's going to start saying something in a minute. You can watch his face because he's going to start. It's going to say something. It's going to upset him. But Tom Barlow's going to score this weekend. So everyone on this podcast listening, you can quote me on this one. And that especially for you, Barney, he's got 1 goal all season that coming right at the end of the game where it was ready all over. And I'm trying to think of a player to compare him to in England, but I was trying to think of something maybe like National League level, but I couldn't think of someone that actually scored fewer goals as a striker. But
I've got a name for you.
Oh, right. Now I've got to hear this name. Let's hear this name.
Well, Pompey just signed George Hurst on loan from Leicester. He was on loan last season, I believe, at Rotherham. Played 31 games, scored none, and he's a striker.
Well,
so there you go.
There we go. There we go. We found a Tom Barlow in the English football system.
What is it? What is your catchphrase I use to describe Tom Barlow? Tom Barlow could not score in a fucking brothel, guys.
Well, right, right. As you can tell, Luke is not his biggest fan, and fair enough. He's got 1 goal season.
Seriously, right. Don't get him. It's not a perfect platform. Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a striker. He's got 1 goal of his season. Like,
right, yeah. Okay. By the way, Tom Barlow, I love you.
Sorry for swearing.
Yeah. Okay. And that. Yeah, I'm going to have to say this is an 18+ broadcast. Please watch it. Don't try anything with this at home. I'm going to go for the proper WWE route for this one. But no, I think it's going to be an interesting affair, of course. And we're going for 2 different things at the moment. We're trying to claw onto the last playoff space and try and capture it. You're looking at the top. Obviously, Revs are running away with the East. They're doing very well. But it's a kind of I'm saying it's like a twist normally. Normally, when you're coming to us at some point, we're higher up and you're a bit below us. But there's a clear difference between these 2 sides this year. And we're on a rebuilding process. You're a bit further down the line, which is doing a good job. Obviously, brought new players in. How would you... So if you rate the chances at the game of... Do you honestly think that looking at, say, this time last year when you obviously played us at Yankee Stadium, do you think you're in a better position now, or was you in a better position like last year?
I would actually say going into last year's game, we were probably arguably in a better position because if I remember rightly, I think we were on a good run of form. I think we'd had a bad run of form, and then we were we just finished turning it around, and kind of that win at Yankee Stadium was definitely the high point of that. I think if any team puts 5 past their rivals, even if we conceded 4, your highlight will be we scored 5.
Yeah.
And it was a great game. Arguably it was one of those that wasn't a 5-2, but it was definitely a great outcome for the fans. Probably felt like a great way to kind of end last season. But like you said, we actually have had a really good run of form. Even MLS is tweeting about us, and this is another big thing amongst the fans. The MLS just hates us because we aren't, we don't have a stadium yet. So they're just like, we're like the son they don't want to have that they took on too early. So yeah, they never mention us, but they've mentioned us in their like little power rankings.
As NYCFC fans didn't start watching MLS till 20 years after it started, you won't realise that Don Garber goes to one club, then he goes to another one, then he goes to another one. He's back at LA now, guys. He's back at the Galaxy now. Very his favourite team again. He'll be back soon. He does that every now and again. Whatever team he loves can get away with that. Money.
I think going into the game though, they're, like I said, there's going to be some confidence, and I think fans will just hope that the kind of spirit we had at Philly, despite the loss, can be carried over into Red Bull Arena.
No, yeah, and I think we're going to be going into a high, and I think it's going to be an interesting affair. Obviously, for anyone over here, like we said before, it's 1 a.m. Sunday morning, so obviously going in from Saturday night. Sky Sports Football, which is great. I've been watching the last few, which has been on Premier Sports. So I've been using another website, which is a certain Sky Bet, which is great. But obviously, everyone please gamble responsibly. However, I've got to say it because we always love score prediction, and everyone gets held to their score prediction no matter what. We never get any right. I think I've got 1 right all season, and that's including like home wins, draws, and all. I'm just no good at it. And I'm going to go with Luke first because he's going to be optimistic, and then we're going to go to Barney. He's going to be the other side to us, and then I'm going to be the neutral one. So come on, Luke. Let's have a little. What do you think is going to happen in the game, and what's your score?
I'm going to disappoint you, Ted. I'm not going to be optimistic.
There's something's gone wrong. Have you had something to drink? No, you sure? Because if you're not being optimistic, something is not right. There's something not right here.
I'll take a point from the match all going on. I'll go for 1-1 draw.
You can hear the fear in his voice. I'll take a draw.
Yeah.
I think when you're playing a rival, you should always aim for a point, and whatever you get is better than that. I think that's a good.
You're home. You should not be aiming for a point. You should be aiming for a win.
But we were talking about this earlier. NYCFC are better than us this season. That's just the fact.
Someone put that on a tweet.
They are to me, but are you challenge to Revs to me?
Viking Army just disowned you.
Yeah, 100%. All I'm saying is, I will be quoting that, but Luke, your views are yourself and not of the supporters group, okay? So anything that happens from this podcast, can we please just quote Luke Hume and not RBNY UK? And don't worry, I'm going to edit my picture out of that comment. So if anyone takes a screenshot, I'm not involved.
On Twitter anyway.
Do you want one of these, Luke? Do you want me to send you a third rail scarf? Sounds like you're
considering who most of the members are, I think I'll pass.
They're good boys. They're good boys.
But no, I think, like I said, let's be honest now. Like, NYCFC are better than us this season. Like, you got to look at the league table to see that fact, and that Red Bulls are trying to get in the playoffs. I'll take a draw on Saturday if we win our next 2 games, which we say easy games, because in MLS is a crapshoot. We all know it. If you can get in MLS playoffs and finish 7th and win the league, like that's how it works. So I'll take a point. Another step to get in our playoffs, hopefully.
Right. So that was different than what I expected. I expected to go from a home win to an away win. So now we'll get the away point. This could go the same route as what my prediction is. But let me see. What are you saying the game's going to be? Because we've got Luke who's saying a draw, and he sounded scared in his voice. I don't know. I've told him on multiple occasions you never show fear to the enemy.
I'm not scared. I'm tired.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what they call it nowadays.
I'm tired. Off this life.
I'm going. My head says a Desmond, but my heart says 3-1 to the Citizens, to the Pigeons. So yeah, 3-1 New York City.
All right, and Luke's gonna be surprised because he's thinking I'm gonna say either a loss or a draw. But I'm actually gonna say a 2-1 win, and I've taken his optimism. Someone has to. I think we're in crunch time, and there's no better time to start crunch time beating the Smurfs or the Yankees or whoever we're coming up against. I do change your name quite a few times.
What's that first nickname you called us?
The Smurfs. It's these little
Smurfs,
blue people.
Sorry, I genuinely didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
Smurfs.
no, they're little blue people. I don't really like them. Never really been a fan of them.
It's nice colour. It's nice colour.
Yeah, there's about 16 other teams in the world with that colour all of a sudden. Not saying like there's dodgy dealings going on, but Jack Harrison, for example,
says the Red Bull Group.
we just give each other energy drinks to cover the transfers. It's fine. We don't care. It's the MLS at the end of the day. If they want to go to the Bundesliga, we let them. We're not going to hold anyone back, really, are we? But I think, obviously, just finishing off on that game, we've got a home win, an away win, and a draw. So one of us will be right, and I'm hoping it's me. If not, Luke. If not, this is the end of the RBNY UK podcast. We're never doing another episode. We're not showing our faces. Give it 4 weeks. We could be back.
I think Red Bulls can win if they turn out and play. That's the thing. I've been saying consistent this season. Like, I generally think any team in MLS can beat any team on their day. How the league is. I don't think there's this team is so good, you can't beat them. I don't think that's how it works in MLS. But they need to turn up. And they turned up last night, but now again they haven't turned up. So you just don't really know. Like, our prediction is amazing because let's be honest, who predicted on May 21st, 2016, Das McCarthy would score 2 headers and we would win 7-0?
What was? Sorry, I'm sure every single Red Bulls fan just wants you to repeat that scoreline just one more time.
7-0.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
We can't do a whole podcast without mentioning that.
Yeah, no, it's customary. It's customary. Like, just saying, it had to be done. And I think, like, a lot of, especially fans from across the pond who listen to this, would love to know, actually, how did you pick NYCFC?
So it was around about the time that NYCFC became a thing, this idea between Yankees and the City Football Group, that I was a bit of a night owl, being a football, like, obsessed footballaholic, whatever you want to call it. I would stay up watching all forms of football. I saw the dealings of Frank Lampard and David Villa being signed to the City Group, and I thought, wow, that's some marquee signings there. That's a real statement of intent. I wasn't the biggest fan of David Villa in the sense of, like, I wasn't thinking, oh my god, that's amazing. But of course, he's a World Cup winner for Spain, so of course he comes with prestige. But Frank Lampard, I was always actually an appreciator of him, although I've never followed a team he's played for. Being English, I think Frank Lampard's one of the best players from the last 20, 30, maybe ever. You know, very unlucky to have not won anything with England. But anyway, it was around that kind of 2014, 2015, hence the 15, that I was watching MLS, first getting into it. And I thought, right, I haven't got a team. I haven't picked a team. I've got a very loose allegiance to Man City because my brother-in-law took me to my first ever Premier League game to see Man City away at Charlton. So I thought, yeah, you know what? That's the loose link I need. There's a link there to an English club. That'll do me. And as soon as I saw some of the fans, around the announcements and the passion that I saw in the bleachers of Yankee Stadium, all jokes aside, I fully hear all the jokes about Yankee Stadium. The fans are with you on that. All the fans don't deny how much of a joke Yankee Stadium pitch is. The one thing that no one can deny, if you look at before the pre-pandemic, especially the fans that, there's a regular 20,000 plus inside Yankee Stadium. Now that bar Atlanta, there's not many clubs rather, who come close to us in terms of regular attendance. There's a real passionate bunch there, and they've welcomed me with open arms. When I've been over twice, both times I've had people, kind of take me in for the day, help me enjoy the experience, and that's obviously made me fall in love with it even more.
Oh no, I think
it's quite ironic that both of them signings turned out to be really, really bad signings. Like Frank Lampard, probably one of the worst DP signings in the history of MLS. Like,
I don't know.
Debatable.
It took him a long while to come over. I agree. There was injuries. There was the fact that then he had his loan extended at Man City.
It wasn't actually loaned. He actually signed a contract. And obviously, we should get say, I'm not sure if it's actually been sorted yet, but I think there was a legal case going on about David Villa. So we should just.
It has been dropped. But yes, his name has been tarnished in New York City history. That's why I mentioned his name second out of those two signings.
I hope she's okay.
Yeah. I mean, if what was said happened, then obviously his name should be tarnished forever. I think. Are you aware of David Villa's project in USL, the Queensborough project? So there's a USL team starting up in 2022, I believe, Queensborough FC. It's mostly funded by David Villa. I can imagine that a lot of New York City fans would have gone, "Oh, that can be our USL feeder team." You can obviously imagine that's completely fallen on its arm.
Yeah.
It's not going to get the support that it would have done originally.
No.
Yeah. No, I think there's quite I remember one thing, and I think not many of the listeners will know this, but we actually have been in the same football stadium at the same time. And a lot of people might be thinking, right, who is this? But it actually was quite a good one as well. It was Portsmouth Arsenal in the FA Cup. And I was very tempted that day to take a massive Red Bulls flag, but I didn't have one on me at the time. And I was expecting to see, say, NYCFC at the other side of the ground. And it was quite funny in there because it was actually red versus blue. And I thought, hold on, this is a bit of coincidence. Obviously, we did pan out to win that game and ended up going quite far in the FA Cup that year and actually picking up the trophy, which was great. But I've got to admit, I do like the flag behind you. So for anyone listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other provider, it's got a lovely flag with the NYCFC UK logo and Portsmouth one as well. I've got to ask, has that been to many grounds up and down the country?
It's been up in Fratton Park. That's about it so far. During the day.
Are you coming to us this year, or have all the Ipswich fans scared you up?
No, those little Ipswich, mate. Those, I tell you, jokes aside, those Ipswich fans, Pompey fans have got the same. They're not real people. They're like little spam bot accounts. They've got no real profile pictures. Their names are something generic like Tom, John. They're all little boring names. And then you look at them, and every single tweet that the club does, they're all replying, "Follow me back." Like, do one. Like, they're not real people there, or they're kids. And you know what? Whatever. But yeah, no, I do plan to get back up to Ipswich this year.
I should provide a bit of context for our viewers. Basically, Ipswich. I spent a decent amount of money this year. I won't be like the other Ipswich fans who say we haven't spent money. We have spent money because even if you take away transfer fees, these players are on a high salary. And I think the Portsmouth manager is a bit salty. Let's be honest, he's a bit jealous.
Portsmouth manager salty?
He's a bit salty, isn't he?
No, not at all. I completely disagree with that. All I'm just going to do, I don't know if this will display on my screen, but let's just let's just put that up there. Portsmouth, top of the league.
I mean, how many games have you played?
3, but I think let me just scroll down. Let me just scroll down to Ipswich.
3 games.
There we go. Ipswich 19th. 1 draw, 2 losses.
3 games.
There's a trend here. You should support a better team. Why don't you go and ask your friend? Why don't you go and ask Elliot Holman and support Norwich?
The thing is, though, what have Portsmouth won?
The FA Cup.
Even I know an FA
twice.
Cup. Yeah, even I know that one.
What won in Europe?
What have we won in Europe?
Yeah.
We've won the Barclays Asia Premier Trophy.
Wow.
Good one, that one. Good one.
Boom! You were expecting nothing. You were expecting nothing.
I can't be honest. I still think you wait for Cap trumps that. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we nearly beat AC Milan. That's our trophy in Europe.
I'm not getting involved here, but look, how much has Ipswich won since you've been alive?
Not a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there we go.
No.
Okay.
All
right. That's ended that one.
Money. It's actually quite ironic. Both Ipswich and Portsmouth are actually owned by Americans,
and Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of us. We just love America. That's what it is.
I think
I might think it's Portsmouth owned by Michael Eisner from the used to be CEO of Disney.
The ex-CEO of Disney, the Eisner family.
He did actually ruin Disney, so I would be a bit worried. He basically ruined Disney to nearly the brink of bankruptcy.
I'm pro Eisner. There's a few people that have been against what he's done in the last year with how long we kept Kenny Jackett on board and people like that. But no, I'm very pro Eisner. They spent a lot of money on fixing Fratton Park because it was genuinely Fratton Park was that close to being like whole stands being shut because of health and safety because of how old it is. So the money they've spent to get the stadium back to a place where it's safe, in the 21st century and all that. I'm very pro Eisner's. I've loved the money they've spent.
No, yeah, I'm a big fan of Fratton Park. I love going there. I've been there on 3 or 4 occasions. I think it's 3 occasions now, and done all right. I've actually seen Arsenal win there twice and Leyton Orient win there once. Actually, I think that was a 1-1 draw that day. And obviously, Kenny Jackett has gone from Portsmouth to Leyton Orient, which is a story we can talk about another day. That I do love Kenny Jackett, love the geezer. But just getting back onto like the MLS scene, and especially obviously you decided to support NYCFC. We decided to support Red Bull, so we've got this love but hate relationship, and I think it's a perfect time to tell our viewers that we are going to be working on something that's very exciting, and it's going to be a Hudson River Derby podcast, which is going to be great. With all things, we're in talks at the moment to get it all sorted out and everything, but we're never going to unify New York, so we might as well unify the podcast so we can get best of both worlds. And I think I'm really looking forward to it because with the MLS, it's quite easy to fall out of touch with certain teams because everyone plays when you're either a bed or you're watching your own team, so you don't really get a match of the day, so to speak. Especially over here, if you want to watch the highlights, you've got to go on YouTube. But I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's been something we've talked about for a very long time. I think we first discussed this probably 3-4 years ago, even. So it's been murmuring along, but I think if we can get this how we want it to, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great on our end. How you like in the thought of basically coming on here and gloating at the moment every other so many podcasts, because it's no doubt it's going to be the 1 year that you're going to probably end up doing something. It's the 1 year that you're in association with Red Bulls on a podcast.
Like you said, you and I, Ronnie, first spoke about it a good 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago. There's definitely, you can see that you've hit the nail on the head with because it's so late for us here, especially. This is the least I've ever known about New York Red Bulls, and I think that's because of the time difference. And I'm not saying it in a taking the mick way, but because you are that bit lower down the league, you are getting less focus. There's less emphasis on yourselves, especially now BWP has gone. Despite the fact that BWP was a Red Bull player, I always wanted him to do well. Like you said, it's that British player thing. Even with Josh Sims, even though Josh Sims came to you, he's like double scummer to me. He's a Southampton player on loan at Red Bulls. I should hate the guy, but he's English, so I want him to do well. I think there's a definite gap for where potentially English fans, British fans, EU fans, whatever, might want to learn about both clubs, about the derby. And I'm sure there'll be fans stateside as well who they put so much love and passion into everything that they're to do with their club that, you know, maybe you can learn that little bit more about your rivals, take that as you will, you know, whether it increases your rivalry, helps you just educate, who knows. But yeah, Hudson River Derby podcast I can see going well.
No, 100% agree. And I think Luke's now looking at his face thinking, why are we working with the blue side? Just to say, Luke, we're all friends at the end of the day,
I'm
okay?
looking forward to getting a week off. I'm looking forward to get a week off for podcast.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? That's nice, isn't it? Like, but no, yeah, I've got to say we will make an announcement when it's all sorted and everything's good, but we are very much looking forward to it, and it'll be an ongoing thing. And it's a shame, obviously, we're not going to start at the beginning of the season, but we might, maybe let's say we start it, and if NYCFC slowly creep more higher up and Rebels go slow down, we will end the series there, and we won't ever speak of it again. But
I'll take over, and I'll invite you in and just leave some blank boxes and just go, well, clearly they didn't turn up like the team. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll literally just send you a sad face to put in there, and I'll just be like that. I'll just be sitting like there's some Pablo Escobar memes from the Netflix series of him just sitting there in an empty swimming pool. That would just be me, just like, oh, no, I'm not having this. But no, we are very much looking forward to bringing everyone the content and also broadening the horizons, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to grow the community, as we call it, in the UK, and it's a growing community. And I think now, especially with Sky Sports coverage and our Premier Sports take on, a lot more games are coming into the public light. And I think it's a shame that, obviously, like we were saying, it's not a highlight show, so to speak, in the UK, because sometimes all you want to do is see goals, half-hour show done. But I think with free sports now coming into it, there is more attention in the UK to the MLS, and it's only growing. And I don't know how you feel about like your audience, especially the amount of people you connect with, but the UK light on the MLS is definitely booming. Yeah,
I think the one thing I do have to correct you with, there is a highlight show, and it is only half an hour, and it is on Free Sports.
Learn something new every day.
It's called just the MLS show or something, and it's just a highlight, half an hour highlight reel of all the goals from the last match day. I've watched it a few times, but yeah, you like you said though, most of the time. But I don't think this is just an MLS thing, but because of the boom of social media and YouTube, you do just watch the goals on YouTube, don't you? Or even Snapchat or other social media platforms. You watch the goals whatever platform you use most. But yeah, no, there is a show on Free Sports. So for those that don't have even Sky or Virgin, that is a platform. Free Sports is brilliant because it's on Freeview. So you can watch the MLS highlight show on there. But yeah, for the kind of the UK audience, I've got a very small little group chat on Twitter with about 4 or 5 other UK or British NYCFC fans. But most of my followers are US based. I think most of them are more intrigued by the fact that, you know, that there's this guy from the UK that is obsessed or has gone over to New York twice, 3 times in November. I better get my Soccer AM hat-trick ball when I go over there. I'll be fuming if I don't. The head of NYCFC social media is British, so he'll know what a Soccer AM hat-trick ball is, so better get me on. But yeah, no, there's a definite a following of sorts from the UK and the EU. I think the thing that doesn't help NYCFC at the moment is there's no British players, but plenty of British staff. We've got Nick Cushing, the former England women's manager. Sorry, not England women, Man City women's manager. He is assistant manager to Ronnie Dyler. But what assistant manager gets spotlight? None. So there's not much of a British following at the club at the moment because of lack of British interest, I think.
Yeah, no, especially looking at British interest, there's a certain team that obviously Sky Sports love, and it's certain Inter Miami because of David Beckham, Phil Neville, Ryan Shawcross, Kieran Gibbs. Like they're going to get the media attention. It's only natural as well that because they got a nice pink shirt, you do actually see them walking around quite a bit. I've seen random kits. I was talking to Luke about this yesterday. I was at an Orient game this weekend and I see a Pride LAFC jersey and I was like,
Wow.
oh, well, that's a bit different. I thought I should have stopped the person and said, whereabouts did you get that from? Because you can't just get them shirts. So he must be a big fan. I
Must have been over there, maybe.
regret. Now, I actually regret not asking him. I could have said to him, if you live over there, do you mind just sending me every Red Bulls top? Because we know custom and on cue, Luke has found his Pride jersey.
I've got my Pride. I've got a Pride one as well, but I haven't. I'm not. It's in the wardrobe. I decided to go with the home jersey for the podcast.
Yeah. No, we all know that. I think another thing that could help the MLS, and we've said it in group chats with the whole community, is a certain thing of a store would be absolutely lovely. And when you have to pay custom charges, big delivery costs, it does cost a lot. I was looking at a T-shirt the other day, which was a $25 T-shirt, and I was like, oh, I'd love to wear that. And then I went, okay, that's $17 delivery, and it's going to probably about another £5. I was like, I'll buy a T-shirt, and then it's just annoying because, like, Fanatics, for example, who obviously are one of the main dealers of everything American sports, just don't have the MLS store in the UK. It's a bit frustrating. You can get your NBA, you can get your NFL, your NHL, your MLB, whatever you want, but at least Adidas has started selling a few bits because there is a big interest of people who just like football shirts who just walk around in mainly LAFC, LA Galaxy, and Inter Miami gear. But I think it's a promising future, obviously, that we're all trying to pave the way for of a more diverse MLS world. But it's obviously completely different. We have the Premier League, and that's the biggest power engine in the world that you can go to near enough any country in the world. They'll be showing live Saturday 3:00. And everyone knows around the world. So it's one of them that, yes, the UK community is growing, but they're just some nutters like me, you, Luke, Scott, any others who stay up till 1 a.m., sometimes even later, to watch an American team in the MLS. And obviously, I've got to admit, I don't know if your followers do the same thing, but I want to say, yeah, but when we want to watch a 12:30 game, which is over there in UK, we have to wake up for the game. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't been up all day waiting for Red Bull and lose 5-0, for example. And by the time it finishes, the birds are tweeting, the sun's rising. It's a different world sometimes.
Yeah, it does. You know, when you stay up late and you know it's gone 3 a.m. like last night. I knew I had a half day of work ahead of me today, so I decided that you know what I'll have to give the game a miss last night, despite the fact that I probably should have watched it. So I came into this game with ammunition or whatever. I just thought I couldn't stay up. I had to be an adult and make that sensible call that in case the game got delayed for any reason. I mean, our game even at Yankee Stadium got delayed due to weather, and that isn't even a Florida game. That's a New York actual game. So, I had to be sensible and miss the game because otherwise I'd be up till 3:30 a.m.
Oh no, yeah, and I remember a fact 4 or 5 weeks ago now, a certain Rebels game was meant to kick off at 1:30 in the morning. I thought, I haven't missed one yet, so I watch it. Then I get a little notification, oh, there's lightning in the area, but players from field. Oh, great. Then it gets to 2:00, 2:30, 3, 3:30. Oh, the game is now postponed. And I was like, have I really just won't have stayed up till 3:30 in the morning for a lightning delay at Red Bull Arena? But some things you go through sometimes. It would have been worth it if we see them win. So it's one of them that it come 1:00 or 1:08 as the kickoff's meant to be on Sunday morning. It's a big game, so I will be up. And apologies to my neighbours yet again, because last night when we did score, I accidentally forgot that it was early hours of the morning, and I did scream quite loud. And when at the 90th minute, I went downstairs, got a drink, and I was like, hold on a second, I need to be in bed. Forgot that again. And I thought, oh, actually, everyone else in my house is asleep. And I just started cheering and started singing Twist and Shout. But that's just part and parcel of the UK MLS life, I think. And we'll deal with it. At least it's not a Western Conference game we have to have on Saturday night going in Sunday morning, and it's at 4 a.m. or whatever it is there. That's crazy when I've woke up sometimes and there's MLS still playing. I don't know how we could do that, but No, just recap for all our UK listeners. It is live on Sky Sports Football and Sky Sports Mix, so on 2 channels. And the program starts at 1:00, but the kickoff is due to be at 1:08, which is a great MLS timing of 8 past the hour, like they love to do. And we're coming to the final question, but I've had a few questions on my phone from Red Bull fans and some just friends in our community for the both of us to talk about in terms of what's going for the season. So one of the questions is for you is, what are your aspirations for the rest of the season?
I think it's got to be the playoffs. It's the one thing that we've not managed to nail yet. We have won the Eastern Conference in 2019. So you've got to think that realistically, the playoffs is the thing we need. I went to the playoffs game at City Field because we have a gazillion homes, thinking, right, we've won the Eastern Conference. This is our year. And then we go and get beaten by Toronto. So, yeah, I think it's got to be playoffs, and it's got to be like you said earlier, Luke, the playoffs they're like a lottery, aren't they? You can finish 5th and somehow still end up doing really well, because that's the nature of knockout football.
Like the primary example of that is, like, obviously it might shock people, but back in the early 10s, Red Bulls had probably the best team in MLS, had Thierry Henry, Kale, Rafa had some of the best players. But the only time I got to the MLS Cup final is 2008, when I got through the 4th West seed. That's how bonkers MLS is. Like it was like a Cinderella story. So, like, if we've seen teams who are like just qualified, win the playoffs, that's how it is.
So yeah, my aspirations have got to be getting through to at least the conference final, if not the final. That's got to be the goal, surely.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same for us, but you're more likely than us. Next, obviously, you've already touched on this a little bit, but people are saying, who are your favourite NYCFC players of all time? Obviously, you've mentioned Lampard and Villa. Is there any other names you'd like to throw in the hat for that one?
Of course, Jack Harrison. The boy, or the boy Jack Harrison, whatever everyone knows him as. You can't help but have followed his career. I think even if you loosely follow MLS, whether you're a Red Bull fan or not, or another team that's not a New York-based team, what a story, what a unique journey to have been on, to have had his mum and him decide to pull him out of the Man United academy at 13, whatever it was, and go to America for education. What a journey. So, of course, I follow Jack's career. I've got a Chinese effort of a Leeds United shirt with his name on the back. He's a name that I think will be forever linked with New York City in the early days. Gio Reyna, he never played for us, but he came through our academy, and now he's tearing it up for Dortmund. And the next name to look out for, Joe Scally, made his debut for Borussia Mönchengladbach, or his full debut, I should say, starting for Gladbach against Bayern Munich in the first game of the Bundesliga this season, and it drew 1-1. What an achievement that is! It's come through the New York City Academy, a proper New York sort of area kid. Did play for the club, and now has gone to Bundesliga as well. So, yeah, there's some of those names that you're definitely gonna link forever with New York City if they can go on to keep on growing and showing off in Bundesliga.
No, yeah, I think, well, as soon as you mentioned Bundesliga, all our listeners know about us and Bundesliga. So it's great. It is great to see players when they do move abroad and they start doing very well in Europe. It's then you kind of end up having an affection with another team, and you're like, oh, actually, you know what? I've got to look out for, like, for you. You've got to look out for Leeds results. Got to look out for Gladbach's results. Like, for us, it's easy. We just got to look out for Leipzig scores. So it's fine for us. Another one is from someone who said, obviously, they didn't know you'd been to Yankee Stadium, but they said, what other ground in the MLS would you like to visit the most?
I think probably the ground I'd like to go to most. Oh, it's really tight because there's 3 I really want to go to. Subaru Park, I think the atmosphere always looks great there, and I want to get the photo of the bridge behind the stadium. I'd love to go to Mercedes-Benz because, again, their atmosphere looks insane. Having 50, 60,000 there for a lot of their games is, testament to the commitment of sports fans in Atlanta, not just soccer fans, but, Atlanta United really seems to have reignited the kind of drive of sports in Atlanta. And of course, our home of Harrison, New Jersey. Those three grounds. I've been to Yankee Stadium, I've been to Citi Field, and I've been to Orlando as well. So,
no, lovely. I think I'm actually going to put this question out to Luke as well, because obviously we've both been RBA, so we've ticked one off the list. My one I want to go to more than any. I've been Yankee Stadium as well, so I can count that as two. But I wouldn't mind a trip to Mercedes-Benz. It just looks great. I don't mind if it's for MLS or if it's for an NFL. It just looks a magnificent arena, and when that is full, it's unreal. Even when you listen to the coverage, I'm like, hold on, I can't hear nothing. It sounds great, but Luke's going to come out with something really strange here. So what are you going to come out with, Luke?
I want to go to the Nashville Stadium because I love Nashville. And that feels like one of my favourite places in the world. And also Dax McCarthy plays there, so that's always that. Mercedes-Benz is obvious one. There's so many new Columbus grinds I want to go to. There's so many grinds in MLS. Like LA, I want to go to LA grinds. I want to go to a new Miami grind and open it. I think it's because with its new MLS stadium era is coming, I think there'll be so many new stadiums people will want to go to.
Well, I'm actually going to rephrase that question for you. Is there any ground you actually don't want to go to? Because you've literally listed half of the MLS. So is there any ones you don't want to go to?
Real Salt Lake. I never want to go to Salt Lake. I don't fancy going to Salt Lake.
I'm just going to put it out there. No offense to anyone who is from Salt Lake, because I bet it's a really nice place. But for some reason, probably Luke lost to him once on Football Manager, and now has got some.
No, but I learned something in history or something that put me off Salt Lake. So.
Oh well, right. We won't delve too much into that. Otherwise, we'll be on Netflix. Be trying to get us for a crime documentary or something or other. He comes up with some random stuff, and I think Barney's already realised.
Sports Network.
Yeah, well. And the last but not least, the question that everyone wants to know. And we're going on a majority vote here. So whatever the majority vote is, it stands. And I'm going to say, what colour is New York? I'm saying it's red. Let's go to you, Barney, next. What are you saying?
Well, it's most recently blue, isn't it? We beat you 5-2. So New York is blue.
So that's 1-1. So, Luke, you have to decide and vote on this one. And if you even dare say anything apart from the answer I'm expecting, you will be kicked off this podcast.
So bear with me while you decide that.
Look at the stats. The all-time series is Red Bulls own it 10-6. So 10-6-2. So you can't really argue with that, can you?
No, well, we know the history. We know of a certain red wedding. We will always bring that one up. We've obviously already alluded to it. Barney's on a scavenger hunt now to try and find something related here. Oh, he's found. It says NY is red. Oh, sorry, that's just my color eyes. NY is. I can't read that one. Sorry. If we're all holding stuff up, I'm going to hold up a Yankees baseball. No reason, but no.
Memories back to my trip to Yankee Stadium of go back to New Jersey.
But no, I think this.
New Jersey.
Oh yeah, love it. I wish we was all there. It would have been great to be all there this Saturday night, Sunday morning. But the world is a different place, and obviously you've said that you're trying to plan to go to New York in November. We hope you are successful with your trip there and actually do manage to get out there, because we've been planning to get out there, but obviously with travel arrangements, however, at this moment, it's been really tricky. But I've got to say, it's been a very, very good podcast. It's been a good one. I think the listeners are going to really enjoy this one. And yes, the Hudson River Derby podcast, we will bring you more information when we have it on the RBNY UK page and the Big Apple Sports Network. But we'll leave the floor with you, Barney, at the moment. So where would you want people to follow you, DM you? No abuse, please. No abuse for the moment until 3 a.m. Sunday. It's got it perfectly. It's just beautiful. It's got everything on plan. Look at that.
It's right there.
It's
Look
got
at that. At UKNYCFC is me. I'm also on Instagram, but mainly Twitter for the New York City football count. And if you want to see my random ground hopping journeys on Instagram at Pompey_Barney, where I post lovely little panoramas of my trips around the UK and the USA, apparently.
Lovely. No, I think we're going to have we'll tweet this out and put it in the description of your links, of course, because it's always great to have you on. I've got to say thank you very much for joining us ahead of the big game. And if you do see our Twitter, Instagram's all muted Sunday onwards, obviously it's a reflection of the score, but we can't wait to have you back on in the future. And hopefully when we see you next, it would be for the first inaugural Hudson River Derby podcast. So just from everyone here at RBNY UK, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And also, Luke, thanks for joining us once again for another episode of the podcast. Yes, it is make or break week for the Red Bulls, and the big one is this Saturday night, Sunday morning for us in the UK. And he's not going to like this, but we always end on the same way. Come on, you Red Bulls. Roll them credits.